Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to talk about something real quick, but then I'll go into everything we were shipping up to on the weekend. So the first thing was at the end of Saturday, we only had 8 items sold, which is, we've never had that. Basically, I was just thinking about the titles. I was like, oh, this is a disastrous weekend. Yes, it does stress me out, but I know there's going to be lows and highs for eBay. It's just the past few months have been like an extra lows, extra highs, new records all over the place. I don't actually exaggerate when I say like that would have been the worst weekend ever. But then yesterday on Easter, we had like a really explosive day of sales. So it ended up being like a pretty good weekend, even though at the end of Saturday with 8 sales, it was looking like doomish, right? All right. I'm going to go into some stuff, personal stuff afterwards. I do all this stuff. So the first thing is this promo card, Star Realms Warlord promo card. I actually don't remember this particular faction. I know Star Realms. I had like the base game, really cool base game where you play 2 ships. You play in like 10 to 15 minutes. It's a deck building game. There's like 4 factions. You're just trying to reduce the person's, I think it's loyalty points down to 0, which is kind of like their health. So yeah, I don't remember this particular faction with the symbol up here. Maybe they've done a bunch of expansions. So maybe this is like a new faction you can play with. This ended up selling for $8 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping. All right, next up is going to be this particular miniature. This is a pirate. So this was from Adepticon. I forgot what year. I got a big bag of Adepticon promos that someone didn't want. So this is a Blood and Plunder, which is, I think, either a miniature pirate game or a pirates RPG game. I forget which particular one. So a really cool figure right here. He has a lot of cool details. He'll be fun to paint for someone. It happens to have this like a little coupon. I didn't include it in the picture, so like I can send it if I want, but I think that wasn't important. Plus, if there was like codes on it, if someone used it, that's just stuff that they give out at like conventions to get you to go to their booth at the time. This little figure sold for $15.74. I had another one, so I relisted it when I was at the storage unit. All right, next up is going to be a Malifaux miniature. This one's incomplete, so it's this like little witch right here. And then she has like her little Necromundum or tome or like little spell book right there. And then she's on this tentacle. And I think the tentacle was supposed to be part of like of a bigger monster, like the bottom part of this. But so she's incomplete. Still a cool miniature. She ended up selling for $8.11. I've had that one for a while. All right, next up is going to be like a ceramic. So we have a good array of stuff that's sold today, like in eclectic amounts. Right here's this teddy bear right here. She has like her little tea party with her little stuffed animal. It has like a pretty good like glaze to it. So yeah, this one, nothing too crazy, sold for $9.38. I don't remember where we got this particular one. We've sold stuff like the cherished teddies before, so they're okay. I don't know if it's something I would sell now unless I got it like really cheap. All right, next up is going to be a combo order. This one was like an interesting one because it was like different categories of stuff. So the first thing they got was the set of 4. These are metal pieces to the Scene It for Disney. So there's like Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and I can't really tell who Donald right there. So 4 little pieces for that. So $5.99 for that one. They also bought this book right here. This is Tim and Virgin's Make Dull Company. This has nothing to do with virgins. It's just supposed to be like a catcher to get you into the book. It's actually a huge book with a bunch of like nerdy, different kind of logic puzzles and stuff like that. No one's done any of the puzzles yet in there, so it's basically brand new. This ended up selling for $5.94, so it's part of that. And then the last thing they got was this lot of 5. These are miniature bits and pieces for Warhammer 40K. This is the Chaos faction right here. So it just looks like there's a bunch of arms and guns. It's not like complete figures, $11.99. So yeah, they got like 3 interesting things. That happens occasionally for us when they get like 3 different categories. But usually when we get combo orders, they're like the same thing. All right, next up is going to be a Flames of War book, like a campaign book or a scenario book, Fate of a Nation, Arab-Israeli Wars from 1967. So yeah, Flames of War, they do a lot of like World War II stuff. A lot of people like this particular military game. I don't know, I think that they're still producing stuff. It might be by like Battlefront Miniatures or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if this is like a campaign book or part of like a bigger box or a starter set. So there might be like some rule sets for this particular war. End up selling for $17.99 to a repeat buyer. All right, moving along is we have this really cool set of X-Wing custom, like basically bits and pieces. We're short on time, so I'm gonna pull out some of this, but let's see this right here. So you're gonna have these dials. The coolest, sorry for the like bag crunchies. I had it. So you're gonna have these custom dials with the actual names on it. So there's TIE Aggressor, TIE Interceptor. These are really cool because like in the base game, you get these like cardboard ones, which are still good. And these dials are used to, you flip them upside down after you decide what movement they're going to do. So yeah, getting a bunch of these cool custom ones. I think these sleeves right here are going to be for some of like the upgrade, not the upgrade cards, just like the pilot cards. I'm not sure what the numbers are, just so maybe you know like which one's number 1, number 2, if you have a bunch of like TIE interceptors or something like that. Then there's also custom like little tokens that I can't remember what they're for. You have a bunch of little of these like clear custom bases. So you have a bunch of cool like custom acrylic stuff. This is really good quality. It looks like I made a note that I spent $10 on this on auction. I ended up selling it for $26.99. I think this person's really going to enjoy it because, like I said, it's better than like the cardboard bits and pieces that you get. Like someone spent a good amount of time actually custom making that. All right, moving along, we have another X-Wing thing, different person, so not a combo order, but this is going to be a promo card. So you would go to tournaments at stores to get extra cards. This is an Academy pilot right there. This is just a pilot card. It's full art. It still has all the stats like their attack and defense. And then it has like their extra little, I forget what those are called, like their little abilities they can do. So yeah, this ended up selling for $5. I had another one, so I just relisted it when I was there at the storage unit. All right, next up is going to be Millborns. People like this game, or Borns. Yeah, I've never played this particular one. This is by Parker Brothers. There's a bunch of versions of this. You're just playing like a game where you're trying to get from basically cross country. There's going to be cards that like you need to get gas or how many miles you go, or if you have to stop and stuff like that. So fun family game. End up selling for $5.50. I like to grab those. It's nothing too crazy because like the box was in like used condition, but the cards are still pretty good. All right, next up is going to be a lot of Warhammer 40K miniature bits and pieces for the Necrons right here. So it's a bunch of like arms, guns. I see all the little gadgets and robotic pieces. They're kind of like the Necromancer robots, futuristic like Terminator kind of characters in Warhammer 40K. Went to repeat buyer for $14.99. All right, next up is going to be a combo order for the Mech Warrior stuff I got by WizKids. So it has these 4 infantry right here from the faction Dragon's Fury. The little faction is going to be on the bottom. So yeah, there's a little infantry for this game. They also got 19 Spirit Cats. This I put as, I think just there's going to be a bunch of infantry down here, and then there's going to be some of the bigger mechs right over there. So yeah, you pick a faction when you play this game. So these are just different factions. And then this is a lot of 16, the third faction, Benson's Raiders right here. These are just going to be a bunch of little infantry figures. So yeah, they end up spending $65.22 for all that. All right, moving along, we have a mid-century modern piece right here. This is going to be a brass bird. So yeah, this one's actually pretty sharp. I was actually like really nervous when I had this in the storage unit. I want to like... oh yeah, this one. What do you mean it's actually mid-century modern too? Oh, gotcha. All right, so yeah, this part is, yeah, people like this brass kind of stuff. And then I got this at auction. I don't know how popular the brass stuff is right now, but it did go through a period where it was super popular. This sold for $22.50. Remember I said it's plus shipping. That thing's pretty heavy. It looks like a pretty cool one. All right, next up, we have a lot of 4 Star Trek books. I just put them. These are in really good condition. They're basically almost brand new. They weren't the particular same series. It just has the next generation on some of them, but there's a lot of Star Trek books. There's a lot of different series. These end up selling for $14.05. I got a bunch of Star Trek books. I think I did a video of them being in part of the video of us getting that stuff. All right, next up is going to be some plastic miniatures. So these are going to be the Saxon infantry right here. There's 56 of them by this company called Mars. I haven't really had too much of this Mars stuff before. It looks like they're actually pretty good quality right here. They're unpainted. End up selling for $11.99. It says it's for the Northern War. All right, next up is also a pretty fun one. These are, I have 10 of these. Sorry, they're in my little dice tray right now. So 10 of these booster packs. I had another 10, so I listed them again. WizKids did a little dice game where there's dice and then there's cards that show like what the different sides of dice do. And it was normally like a Marvel game, a dueling game. They eventually made other IPs, like they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They did Yu-Gi-Oh! They also did Dungeons and Dragons. So I don't know if this is a co-op version. It might be co-op, or if it's still heads up where you still fight each other, trying to reduce each other's life points. So yeah, these are collectible because they have different rarities. This went to repeat buyer. They spent $11.99 for the lot of 10. These were normally on retail for $1. That was supposed to be their draw, $1 for 2 dice in a card. So that's a pretty fun one. It was one that I was like keeping an eye on at the time, but I didn't have enough time for like another hobby. So it's cool that someone's going to appreciate that. I did not spend $10 on that, but yeah, I got those pretty cheap. All right, next up, we have some Memoir 44, which is a really cool military board game by Days of Wonder, I think. Maybe Days of Wonder, Fantasy Flight, Days of Wonder, I think. I'm just going to stick with that. I could be wrong, though. So these are the blue player pieces right here. I think this either might be a complete set or near complete set. So yeah, this ended up selling for $13.49. You play on a hex grid. There's 3 categories, left, center, and right. And then you play an action card, which tells you how many units on which side get to activate. And then there's usually a scenario goal, and they're trying to recreate battles, most of them World War II, but there was a bunch of different types, of battles that you can do. All right, next up is going to be a combo order for Gundam War CCG stuff. This has been really popular. It's from 2005. This is the first time I gotten this stuff, and it's been selling really quick. So this is 72. I think these are commons or uncommons for a faction called Neon or Neo. And then you have a bunch of they're either like foil super rares or rares. So yeah, this one is just Quinn Mantha. This one it's an upside down A Gundam. So I don't know how you say that. I guess I thought it originally was U, but then someone said that it was A. And then there's this blue Gundam that just says Gundam right there. So yeah, they were super excited for this stuff. They were like asking if I had more stuff, and I'm like, I listed everything I had, so I'll keep an eye out for more. They end up spending $95 for the lot and the 3 cards, which is pretty good for that. All right, next up is going to be this place called Gecko Brands. I've never seen this before. These are just going to be 16 millimeter blue dice with white pips. People care about the size of their dice, and they also care about the color, and then the pip color, which is like the indent inside. So yeah, people really do like looking for specific dice. So when they have it in their mind's eye what they want, they go searching for it, and then this end up selling for $12. All right, moving along, we have this game that I didn't know too much about, and I still don't know too much about. These are Raging Heroes Fantasy Kurg Nova bits and pieces right here. Got a bunch of this stuff. Raging Heroes. I saw like on a website that there was like a person that made a bunch of this stuff. So I'm not sure. I think maybe it's from the UK. That's all about what I know about it, other than I listed a bunch that I got from auction really cheap. This particular bag of bits and pieces sold for $14.05. All right, moving along, we have another box of bit and pieces. This is kind of in a tank, one of these model kits, Tamiya right here, but this, I didn't picture the box because I wasn't even sure if everything inside was connected to this particular tank. So yeah, it's just like a lot of bits and pieces, and I measured a bunch of them right there. So I don't know, I might still just ship the box with it. I don't know if you guys can see it too well. So yeah, there's like a Jeep, there's like a little wheels, there's just accessories, bits and pieces. $12.37. This actually might be going with the other combo order of the other 3 stuff that I mentioned earlier. I actually think I'll set that aside. I think it is with their order. We'll check before we ship this out. All right, next up is going to be a music CD, the Railway Children right here. Don't know anything about this, not really knowledgeable on CDs and music. We just got a full card for $75 before. So yeah, this ended up selling for $11. All right, next up is going to be a lot of 10 Caracas, Venezuela postcards. So yeah, we don't really get postcards often. We do get paper ephemera. I know that there's a lot of good postcards. I'm just like super unknowledgeable about it. Ended up selling for $10. All right, next up is going to be some Gloomhaven little bits and pieces. These are going to be, where are they? I'm losing track of them. Okay, so elemental trackers. These keep track of when your characters play the cards. They get the element at the end of the turn. It goes into strong, then eventually goes into waning. The sound will be okay because we have the microphone on. So yeah, these ones are special because they are the wooden ones. I don't know. I know the Jaws of the Lion have these like more cardboard ones, and then I don't know if any future editions of Gloomhaven 2nd, 3rd, they have multiple printings because the game was #1 for a while on Board Game Geek. But yeah, people are going to want the wooden ones. These ones are the best. They feel the best. They end up selling for $4. Nothing too fancy. A lot of talk for just that, but people do care about that stuff. All right, next up is going to be another lot of the 50 Warhammer 40k Necron pieces right here. Got a bunch of these. I thought we sold most of them, but I guess I still have more, or they were still listed. I just keep digging them up in baggies when I'm at the storage unit, and there's other spots that other bins I had listed them in. I thought they were all in the same bin. This ended up selling for $15. All right, next up, I got a bunch of this game called War Gods of Egyptish? Nah, I don't know, I'm saying it wrong. Sorry, it's a lot of like E's and Y's and stuff like that. So this is a chariot with 2 horses and like his little master right there. And the bases, got a bunch of this stuff. This is the first thing that's sold from all of the miniatures I got from this particular game. This one sold for $31.49. All right, next up is going to be Memoir 44. These are going to be base cards. These are going to be the cards that I was telling you guys about where you play them and it tells you which side of the board you activate. There's also these reminder cards that tell you like what the terrain effects are. For example, this one's Oceans. I don't think this is a complete set, but this ended up, I got a lot of bits and pieces for Memoir 44, so this sold for $11.99. It actually shows that it's going international. right, next up is going to be a combo order for HeroClix. We have 2 Colossal figures. Colossal are bigger, so they take up like 4 spaces, 6, 8, 10, 12. It depends on the figure. These do have their cards with them right over here. I have one here, and then one's going to be right over here. So they spent $19.25. It's like $26.30 and some change. And some change. Yeah, all right. We have this guy right here, Giganto. This one was only $6.74. So yeah, he's like a big, I don't know anything about this particular Marvel or DC character. And then this one is, we have a big Groot. So yeah, people know Groot from the Galactic Guardians, but yeah, this is one of the versions that he looks like, not like in the movie, but in one of the comics. So yeah, that's pretty cool. This was also a repeat buyer. All right, next up is going to be a lot of some, where did I put them? I'm gonna have to have stuff all over the place. Can't find it right now. All right, I'll just move on unless if I run across it. It's going to be some Spirit Island little light tokens. All right, next up is going to be a Gundam little figure right here. This looks like a Japanese blind box type of little tchotchke type of toy. Don't know anything about this particular one, and obviously I don't know what's inside of there. It might not even be a blind box. You might just get what this is. This ended up selling for $12. All right, moving along, we have another one of these. It's the legendary deck building game, Resident Evil version. This is Albert Wesker foil, like a villain card. He's going to have a little setup and scenario that you can fight against him. People like to get the extra villain so they can replay their board game over and over again with extra like rules and stuff like that. This guy sold for $11.99. I had another one, so I relisted it. All right, moving along, we have a Zodiac Killer hardcover book. I listed this a long time ago, so I'm not sure if like what exactly this is. It looks like it's in another language. Is this French? It might be in French. I actually think this is in French. All right. So yeah, this cool hardcover book sold for $16.88. People do love true crime stuff. And then the last thing for the day is going to be these right here. These are WizKids, like HeroClix, terrain pieces, rubble pieces, light objects, heavy objects for the characters with super strength that can pick them up, use them to add extra melee damage, throw them. Non-super strength characters can stand on them for additional defense against range attacks, and then like the 2 little white dice I've talked about before that come into the starter set. All right, so that's everything that's going out today. 2 other things I want to talk about. And then I have been watching the Lord of the Rings extended editions for the first time for both of us. So we got through the first 2, so that was pretty cool, seeing all the extra scenes. So there was a lot of good ones. And then also during Easter, I took out a puzzle, a 500-piece puzzle, and a lot of people don't know, other than probably like Aneta and maybe some of my family members know, I'm really good at puzzles. So yeah, I remember I took it out, and then Aneta's dad was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get that done. I'm sure, whatever." I did not complete it because I could have, but then we would have been there too late. I had like 90 pieces left of this 500-piece puzzle. It's a pretty hard one. It was like a girl in the middle, a bunch of black sky around it, and then on the bottom was green, like grass, different variations, and then there's a bunch of different like white, orange, red flowers all on the sides of the puzzle. So yeah, 500 pieces isn't a big deal for me, but towards the end of it, her dad came out and he was like, "Oh wow!" He actually was impressed at like how much I got through with it. So yeah, I do like puzzles. All right, that's it. All right, sorry for all the rambling. Thank you for watching. Which one? Second one, Lord of the Rings, and then the puzzle. All right, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and have a good one.